Why are groceries costing more and still making us sick?
Eggs are being recalled for a possible salmonella contamination.
There is in our food.
If America has the safest food in the world.
Our groceries are costing more than they've ever been before, yet somehow the food is less safe than it's ever been. And that's not just the American food system just having a bad week. There's been multiple food recalls over the last couple of weeks, and that sounds like a broken system working exactly how it's supposed to work. And that's the problem. And the thing that gets me is grocery prices are up 2.7% from last year. Overall inflation is the highest percentage it's ever been in a while. And we're basically paying more than we've ever paid before in our lifetime in the American food system. So the question that I keep coming back to is, if prices are increasing and we're paying this much, what are we actually paying for? There are a lot of red flags with the American food system right now, and honestly, it doesn't seem to be getting any better, so let's name the top 4. And because this is mindset theory, of course, we're gonna connect it back to the things that we talk about here on this channel: money, mindset, and business. Starting with red flag number 1, the price. So one of the reasons that I even wanted to break down the economics of the American food system right now is because it seems like every other morning I get a text message or email notification in the morning about something else being recalled. 2 weeks ago, it was lettuce. Last week, there was an egg recall because of salmonella. And it really does beg the question, what the hell is actually going on? And are we overpaying for food that is slowly making us sick? So speaking of red flag number 1, the price, let's look at the numbers. As stated before, grocery prices are up 2.7% over the last year. Eggs alone have jumped 4.3% in a single month. And the increase in prices and inflation isn't really new, because back in 2022, grocery inflation hit around 11%, and that's the highest it's been since 1979.
Lettuce was like $2 a couple of months ago, and now it's like $7.
And like Cardi said, lettuce was like $2 a couple of months ago, and now it's like freaking $7. Okay, I can't actually confirm that lettuce was ever $2 because I personally rarely ever get lettuce, but I'm gonna take her word for it because the feeling is definitely real. And as someone who tracks their finances very digitally, I use my finance tracker to track all of my expenses. The download link will be in the description. I have definitely noticed a stark increase in what I'm spending on groceries now versus what I was even spending on groceries, say, a year ago. And here's what I want you to take away from this piece. Prices have definitely gone up, and they don't seem to be coming back down. Depending on where you live and of course where you shop, you can find some bargains and some deals, but across the board, it's noticeable that there's been a stark increase. And going the way that it's going, I can only predict that it's heading in one direction, and that it's up. And that to me is definitely a red flag in the American food system. And you would think that if we're paying more for the food that we're buying, the safety wouldn't be an issue. And this brings me to red flag number 2, the safety. So right now we are living through the largest cyclosporiasis outbreak in the US history, and that's over 11,000 confirmed or suspected cases across 9 states. And if you don't know what that is, it's basically a parasite, and it's not just something that you can just wash off your lettuce. And the interesting part to me about this safety issue, and maybe a sub red flag, is that the media is putting out there that the iceberg lettuce that's causing the outbreak was grown and produced in central Mexico. And this is probably the sociology degree and corporate communications experience talking, but it sounds like they're trying to point the blame, and that's very questionable. And see, this is why you have to stay on your toes, because while that can and may be true, why is that the focus in the media? Especially when the lettuce is distributed by a company that's based in the US. A company called Taylor Farms, which by the way, distributes to more than half of the grocery stores in America. Let me actually break down how your lettuce gets to you, because I think it's important if you don't know. Step 1, your lettuce gets grown on a farm. Step 2, it goes to a processor, a company like Taylor Farms, where it sometimes gets cut, washed, and bagged. Step 3, from that one processing hub, your lettuce gets shipped out. And finally, step 4, it lands in millions of groceries and restaurants across the country. Taylor Farms alone sends out about 265 million servings of food a week. So as you can imagine, one contaminated field isn't just one contaminated field. It's actually going to 9 states, which in turn causes an outbreak. But back to the safety issue, you would think a company operating at that scale, feeding that many people, you would think that means safer conditions, more caution, and more oversight. And yet, there's also been 2 egg recalls this year, separate cases due to salmonella. One was about 1.6 million dozen eggs out of Texas. Another was 1.7 million dozen that actually made 79 people sick and 21 of them hospitalized. That's 2 recalls, the same bacteria, within the same year. And although that may be an accident, that's also a pattern. So that begs the question, why does this keep happening?
We should buy the lettuce together and split it.
I mean, she's not wrong. And that brings me to red flag number 3, the cover up. Now I know what you're thinking because I'm thinking the same thing too. If they're maybe cutting corners on safety, then at least our food should be getting cheaper, right? Well, no. And my theory is that is because of these 2 things, consolidation and minimal oversight. In more simpler terms, consolidation means that there are only a few companies that are producing and distributing our groceries, and Taylor Farms is one of only a few companies in that market. And because of that, you have minimal oversight, which means that fewer people are actually checking to make sure that things are safe. And putting those 2 things together brings you to the ugly truth that there may be some corners being cut while prices remain the same simply because we need groceries and there are only a handful of companies supplying them. So they get to do whatever they want to do with the prices, basically. Put those 2 together and you get one ugly truth. The exact same corner cutting that's keeping the prices high is the exact same corner cutting that lets the parasites through. It's not 2 problems, it's really honestly just one. Think about it like this, even when there's fewer suppliers, people still need to eat to survive. And so they're allowed to raise the prices as long as people keep buying lettuce, which we definitely will. There's not gonna be a successful protest on lettuce anytime soon, I'm sure. As long as we keep buying lettuce, the rest of the companies standing have 0 reason to lower the price because why would they? We're buying them. And that's why my theory is going back to red flag number 3, the cover up. It's so important for these companies to communicate to us, the consumers, that this lettuce outbreak was caused by lettuce grown in Mexico to make you feel like, oh, it's not possibly their fault that this is happening. But besides the potential cover up, the price, and the safety, fewer suppliers also mean longer supply chains and more food coming from further away, which makes the entire system fragile. If one thing goes wrong, it can affect so many people in other states that the food is being distributed in. And this is why we've seen the amount of recalls that we've had recently. And to the average person buying groceries, it may seem like we have a lot of choices than we actually do. Yes, there may be a lot of options on the shelf, but the majority of them are coming from just a few distributors. And I'm not saying that you should go start a farm in your backyard unless you want to and you're skilled to. But let's take a look at some of the actual stats. Just 4 companies control 54% of the entire US fresh cut salad market, and that's only 4. One company, Cow Maine, produces 24% of the shell eggs in America. That's one company controlling 1/4 of the country's egg supply. And Taylor Farms, the largest producer of fresh cut salad in North America, well, they're at the center of an outbreak right now. And they're one of the biggest distributors in the game. After doing some research, this actually is not their first outbreak. They've had one in 2013. And also Taco Bell has been named in some outbreaks throughout the 90s. And Taylor Farms produces their lettuce. And the whole idea of the lettuce causing the outbreak being grown in Mexico doesn't really hold too much weight in my opinion, because the recent 2 egg recalls were domestic in Texas and in California. So while it's true that foreign food can be dangerous, the American food system isn't any less safer. That framing is the exact reason why I think that red flag number 3 is the cover up. And now for the final and red flag number 4, the most interesting one of them all, in my opinion, the one that wraps it all together, the marketing scheme. My question this entire time has been, what are we actually paying for if our groceries are making us sick? But it goes a little bit deeper than that, because it's not just about the pricing that's on the shelf. It's also that some consumers, because of the marketing scheme, are willing to pay a little bit more of a premium for an item if it has better marketing. Even though it's been confirmed that a lot of these items are coming from the same distributors anyway. The same lettuce supplier, Taylor Farms, that delivers to Whole Foods is the same lettuce supplier that delivers to Walmart and Taco Bell and Chipotle. Same supplier, wildly different price, but some are willing to pay a premium for a feeling, an identity, some would say, and a little bit of a class signal, whether it's subconsciously. And that is the marketing scheme right in front of our eyes, if we choose to see it, of course. Take a look at the price of lettuce at Walmart versus Whole Foods, and keep in mind that this is the same supplier. Someone at the Business Insider actually compared the same 31 grocery items at Whole Foods versus Walmart, and Whole Foods came out about 30% more expensive. Now, Amazon did acquire Whole Foods in 2017 and made an effort to bring down the prices. So this percentage is a little bit lower. When you think about how big the company Amazon is, they're making their money's worth anyways. So what is it to them to bring down the price by a little if you're gonna make it back because people are going to be buying anyway? And the thing about living in a major city is these price differences are so physical, you can actually see it with your own 2 eyes. Whole Foods are typically built in neighborhoods where the median income is a little bit higher, and Walmart is typically built in neighborhoods where people make less. Same company making the lettuce, but it gets sorted into different neighborhoods and priced at different price points. And there's actually data to back it up. In a typical Walmart neighborhood, the median income is around $49,000 and 23% college grads. Whole Foods and Trader Joe's zip codes around $82,000 and 52% grads. Again, same lettuce, but 2 different marketing campaigns. So the question begs, why do brands feel like they can charge more? And it's 2 words: brand equity. People aren't necessarily paying for a better product. They're paying for the perception of a better product. But where do we draw the line, and when does brand equity become price discrimination? And not in an illegal sense, of course. I'm just talking about economics. And I guess that is maybe the good thing that's coming out of this outbreak, is that people are getting to know these things, because most people don't. As consumers, if we know that this stuff is the same, why do we still fall for it? As someone who's worked in corporate communications, marketing, and entertainment for the last 5 years, and also has a sociology degree from Georgetown, let me tell you exactly why. There's a sociologist named Thorstein Veblen who coined the term back in 1899, conspicuous consumption. Conspicuous consumption, which is basically spending your money to display your wealth rather than because you actually need the thing. And I'm not saying that that's what people are consciously doing with groceries, but consumers could potentially be doing that with grocery stores like Erewhon versus Walmart, or Whole Foods versus Aldi, when in reality, they buy from the same lettuce producer anyway. So what do we actually do with all of this? On the practical side, number 1, you can buy whole heads of lettuce versus buying the bagged stuff when you can. There's fewer processing steps, which means there's fewer points where something can go wrong. Number 2, as a consumer, you can learn how to actually read a recall. The CDC and the FDA both have outbreak pages, which you can check for free. And number 3, you can internalize this mindset theory that sometimes buying the premium aisle isn't necessarily buying you safety, it's just buying you a feeling sometimes. The goal here is to know what you're actually paying for so that it becomes a conscious choice that you're actually making. And I'm also not saying that the goal here is to never buy nice things. Trust me, you can enjoy your Erewhon smoothie from time to time, but the mindset piece that's super important here is just knowing what you're paying for. That way, it's not a scheme that tots that up to get you to buy something that you're not consciously aware of.
Well, it could have been a scheme.
That's what building financial freedom actually looks like. Yes, it is budgeting. Yes, it is tracking your expenses, but it's also knowing the systems that you're operating within and the systems that you're buying within. And that's really the whole point of having these transparent money conversations. I can't wait to have more because that's truly how we build financial freedom and continue to improve our financial literacy, even when we may not realize it. So make sure you're subscribed, follow me on all social media, and tune in for the next video.